Good day, everyone. My name is Ebo Victoria, and I will be taking you on biology. The topic we'll be considering today is basic ecological system. That means we are looking at ecology. This one, basic, is not a new word. We know what it means. What we are considering now is what? Ecology. Okay, I'm going to define some terms for you. That word ecology comes from a Greek word, oikos. Greek word, oikos. It is spelled Oikos, oikos, which means dwelling place of an organism. Dwelling place. Okay, so what is ecology? It is the study of plants and animals animals in relation or in relationship with their environment. Environment. That means I am studying plants and animals, and the areas I am studying them is based on how they relate to their what? Environment. Are you with me? Okay. We have two main types of ecology. We have octoecology and synecology. Take note of it. Synecology and octoecology. Types, before I go over to some concept that I will define here, of ecology. Octoecology and the synecology. When you hear octoecology or octoecology, you are referring to a particular organism. Let's say, for instance, rats, studying everything about its environment, how the rat is relating with its what? Environment. That kind of study is what? What? Ecology. But when you are talking about synecology, you are now referring to many organisms. It's not just one. You are trying to know how they are relating with their what? Environment. So please take note. We have some ecological terms that we are going to look at, or components that you are going to look at. The terms you are to see under this ecology include: one, habitat. We have two, population is there. Number three, we are going to look at ecological niche. We are looking at atmosphere. There are many of them. One thing you shouldn't forget about biology is that it's too broad. So we are going to take our time and talk about them one after the other. Lithosphere. 6. Biosphere. 7. Hydrosphere. 80. Let me do justice to the few I have written so far. Okay, starting from the first one, which is what? Habitat. We say that habitat is the dwelling place of an organism. where an organism is what? Is dwelling. I'm talking about that first one, which is what? Habitat. Sometimes we classify or divide habitat into two main types, which is terrestrial habitats and the what? Aquatic what? Habitats. But sometimes we look at it from three angles, which are terrestrial habitats, aquatic habitats, and the what? Arboreal. The habitats that I've mentioned so far, I'm just going to say one or two things about it before I rush down to the other one. Habitat, I made mention of. First one, terrestrial habitats. And here, the second one, I say aquatic habitats. Okay, then that last one is arboreal. Terrestrial habitats, we are referring to the land what? Environment. It deals with what? Land. Sometimes we can as well classify these terrestrial habitats as this. Here, desert comes in. We have marshes. We have tundras, etc. That is land. While aquatic, we are referring to water bodies. Water. When you hear aquatic, you should know we are talking about what? Water. And we can generally classify this one as salty aquatic or salty water, and the what? Fresh water. From the word salt, you should know that this is the kind of water that contains what? Salt. While fresh contains no what? Salt. We can still classify this fresh water into low-thick, lentic. That is low-thick, lentic, and wetland. Wetland. Low-thick, fast-moving what? Water. Lentic, slow-moving what? Water. And of course, we know what wet means now. A land that has what? Water on it. There are some places that when you match them, you observe that we have water in that what? Land. That is under your what? Your habitat, terrestrial and the what? Aquatic. The last one, which is the one I call the third classification or third type of aquatic, is arboreal. Here we are now referring to organisms that make use of what? Trees. That is air. They live on what? Air. Like your apes. When we are talking about apes in biology, we know what it means. All the birds fall under this what? This group. That is in your classification of organisms. Arboreals, organisms that dwells on what? Air. I am done with this. Remember, I'm talking about terms associated with this word, ecological words, concept. The second one is what? Population. Population. Just as we normally do our counting in real life, we can as well take it to this word, population. What does it mean? Total number of organisms in a particular what? Environment at a what? A specific period of what? Time. The total number of organisms. Remember, there are things we are putting into consideration when giving definition of population. At a specific what? Time. That means as time goes on or as time changes, the population might what? Increase. Okay, so take note of that very word. All right, now we are going over to the third one, which is ecological what? Niche. Ecological niche. What are we referring to? under this ecological what? Niche. It is the specific place, that particular place that is meant for an organism, where the organism has what? Occupied. That is what we mean by the what? The ecological what? Niche. Have I communicated? I am rushing this. I'm going over to the fourth one, which is what? Atmosphere. When you hear atmosphere, your mind should go straight to the part of the earth that contains what? Air. Remember, we said that air is a mixture of what? Gases. That means that air that you are taking in, it contains some what? Gases. Let's not forget. Some of the gases which our air contain include what? We can talk about nitrogen, which we have learned that it forms 78% of what? The atmospheric air. Oxygen, it contains 21 what? Percent of the atmospheric what? Air. And there are some other trace what? Elements that we can see on the what? The atmosphere under this. Okay. The next one is lithosphere. When you hear lithosphere, your mind should go straight to what? Solid part of the earth. Talk of rock, land masses, etc. Solid part. Atmosphere, air. Lithosphere, I am referring to what? To solid part of the earth. And I've given us example. The land masses. Sometimes we look at topography of an area, how it looks, if it is hilly, or if there's mountain there, valley, or how the place looks like. That is the lithosphere, the solid part, the solid part. Then I am going over to the sixth one, which is what? Biosphere. When you hear bio, your mind should go straight to what? Life. We are talking about the living organisms, living things that is in that very what? Environment. All right, we are continuing from where we stopped. Remember, I have given you the basic concepts or terms related to what? Ecology, where I mentioned biosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere, population, habitat, etc., and as well the classification of habitat. Now I am going over to components. Components of ecology. We have two components, which is biotic factors and abiotic factors. Biotic factors. Remember, when I was starting, I said whenever you hear biotic, your mind should go straight towards living. That means here I am looking at what? Living factors that affect what? Ecology. Why abiotic? I am looking at non-living factors. Now, let's pick up the first one, which is what? Biotic factors. The biotic factors, as I've explained, include your producers, biotic factors. We have producers. We have consumers. And we have decomposers. Okay, the first one is what? Producers. When we are talking about producers, it's from the word produce. These are the organisms that produces the food that you and I consume as what? The consumer. Okay, let's take for instance the first producer that you and I know. Or if you've not learned it before, know it now, is what? Plants. Plants plants are very much what? Producer. Because plants contain what we call a green pigment, chlorophyll. That is where photosynthesis comes in. You know, sometimes when we are asked to define photosynthesis, we say photosynthesis is a process in which green plants manufacture their own food through the help of sunlight using a green pigment called what? Chlorophyll. Sometimes what we are actually saying is this, because you know this photosynthesis, we can represent it with a chemical what? Formula. Let's look at it here. Sometimes when students are asked to write the chemical formula for photosynthesis, they will find it what? Difficult. But after now, you should be able to know what is going on. What we actually have as photosynthesis, representing it with an equation, is this. That means I am having CO2 as my carbon forward oxide plus H2O. Are you with me? Okay. So give me what and what? Glucose 6,6H12O6 plus oxygen. I have just written an equation which is not what? Balance. But you should know that because what I am referring to is photosynthesis, there are two things that must be there. Sunlight must be there, because they say it's a process in which green plants manufacture their own food through the help of what? Sunlight, using a pigment called what? Chlorophyll. And chlorophyll as well must be what? There. Are you with me? So for this equation, I want to come over to it and look at it just to know if it is what? Balance. This is carbon 4 oxide and this is what? Water. Giving rise to glucose, and this is what? Oxygen. I will start balancing my equation. What am I having here? Carbon is on the reactant side, just one. And on the product side, I am having 6 molecules of what? Carbon. Is it balanced? No. Following our rules while balancing chemical equation. So what am I going to do? I will come over here and put 6. Remember they say what you have at the right hand side must be equal to the what? The left hand side, for you to have a balanced chemical what? Equation. Okay, as it is now, how many molecules of carbon am I having? I have 6. I have what? 6. That means I have balanced what? Carbon. I come over to oxygen. How many molecules of oxygen am I having here? I am doing 6 times 2, which is what? 12. Plus 1 here, which is what? 13. Here, how many am I having? I am having what? 6. For here now, remember how we balance our chemical equation. It's trial and the what? Error. When you want to balance, you check. If I put this one here and put this one here, will it balance? If it's not balancing, you do again. I have 13 at the right hand side, and I have what again here? I have 8. Is it balanced? No. So what am I going to do? Let's keep it by the side and come over to hydrogen. And know if balancing hydrogen will help us to balance this immediately. I come over here. Hydrogen is what? 12 here, and I'm having what? 2 here. So what am I going to do? I should know as a mathematician that if I do 6 times what? 2, or as a student, let me withdraw that word mathematician, because some students are afraid of maths. Okay, as a student, I should know that 6 times 2 is what? 12. So I will quickly put 6 here, which is 6 times 2 is what? 12. How many am I having here? 12. That means my hydrogen has been what? Balanced, right? Okay, so let's now go back to our oxygen to know what is going on. Our oxygen now is what? 6 here because of this. Remember, it covers all. 6 plus what? 2. That is how many? 8. Then coming over to the product side, How many oxygen am I having? 6 plus 2, which is what? 8. Sometimes students complain, I don't know how to balance this, that. Just follow try and error method. Ask yourself simple questions. How many number will I put here and how will I balance it? Okay, I believe I've done justice to this chemical equation. This is the equation representing photosynthesis. As it is now, carbon is 6 here. Carbon is how many here? 6. Oxygen is how many here? From what I'm having here, this plus this, 8. How many am I having here? It's not yet balanced. This times this is what? 12, right? Plus 2 is what? Plus 6, that is 18. Since I'm having 18 here, what am I going to do here to balance it? Remember, what I have is what? 8 already. What am I going to do? I will ask myself question. If I minus 6 from here, what am I going to do because of this 6? To have the remaining one, which is what? 12. Don't be confused. I have 18 already here. 18 already here. And from this side only, I am having what? 6. That means something can be done to this what? Oxygen in order to balance it. I will look at it. If I put 6 here, what am I having now? 6 times 2 is what? 12. 12 plus 6, that is what? 18. I have balanced all my what? Elements involved. Photosynthesis, the chemical what? Reaction. Okay, remember, sugar is what? Produced as what? Glucose. Remember where we started from? Producer. How plant does it? It's combined with sun and chlorophyll, tapping water and the what? Carbon dioxide to store that glucose and the what? Oxygen that you and I will what? We will take later. Having done justice to this, there is another producer. I am coming over to what? Consumer. You and I fall under this very what? Category. Consumer. Remember in food chain, we said that it will pass from the what? The producer to the what? To the consumer. From consumer, it goes back to the what? To the soil. First of all, it might start from the soil. Remember, it's from the soil that the plant will what? Will grow. Okay, then here, the eaters, you can put example. Remember, example I put here is plant. Example I am to put here is what? Man. There are some other consumers as well. You have goats. You have what? Goats. You have other animals that can feed on cattle, etc. All these are what? Consumers. Okay. Now, we have another example, which is what? Decomposers. They are still under biotic what? Factors. Factors that can affect ecology. Decomposers. These are the ones that causes decay from the word decompose, which is what? Decay of organism. There are some organisms we refer to as saprophytes. They feed on decayed what? Organisms or dead what? Organisms. All right. This is for biotic what? Factors. I am now heading or going over to the what? The abiotic factors. When I am talking about the abiotic factors are the what? The non-living. The non-living what? Factors. Non-living factors that can affect what? Ecology. When we are talking about this abiotic factor, we are referring to some climatic what? Factor. Under climatic factor, we know what it means. That means I am talking about the what? The weather. Okay. I am as well talking about the what? The topography of what? An area. These are the factors that can affect, these are factors that can affect what? The ecology. I've given you biotic factor, and I've as well given you abiotic factor. The biotic and abiotic factors as a subtopic under ecology. Don't forget in a hurry what I said about biotic and abiotic factor. Biotic, living things, and abiotics, non-living things. And I've given you examples of biotics and as well abiotic what? Factors. Okay, we are going over to another subtopic, local biotic communities in Nigeria. They are divided into two. We have the first one as forest what? Zone, and the second one as what? Savannah what? Savannah zone. Zone. All right, we are taking the first one, which is forest zone. Forest zone can be later classified into what? Mangrove swamp area or what? The tropical rainforest. Mangrove, swamp area, and the what? Tropical what? Rainforest. First of all, let me explain what forest is all about. When we define forest, we say that forest is an area that is thickly what? Covered by what? Grasses and the what? Trees. Remember, here in Nigeria, there are some areas that you will see them, there will be what? Covered by trees and the what? Plants. Here, under this forest zone, which I have given us, I said it is classified into mangrove swamp what? Area. That is where you can have your what? Salt and the what? Fresh what? Water coming what? In place. When I was saying something on the habitat, I recall saying something that habitat is classified into what? Terrestrial and the what? Aquatic. And under our aquatic, we have fresh water and the what? Salt water. Sometimes you see question come in biology, the point in which fresh water and salt water come together is called what? We refer to it as what? Brackish. That very point is brackish what? Water. You know, there is a point in which the fresh water will flow from its own direction, and salt water, they will come in what? In contact. That is the brackish water we are referring to. Or sometimes we refer to it as estuarian. Okay, now having established that, we are going over to the savannah what? Zone. The savannah zone, we have the southern what? Savannah zone. We have the southern savannah zone. We have the northern savannah zone. And we have the Sahel what? Sahel savannah. These are the zones we have under what? Savannah zone. Looking at it now, I have talked about the local biotic communities we have in Nigeria. I want to quickly do a summary of what we have said so far so that we can at least achieve one particular thing or hold a thing as you are going through this word, this very class. I started by giving you the definition of what? Ecology. Study of plants and animals in relation or in relationship with their what? Environment. The environment that the plant is dwelling on. What are the things that is what? Seen in that environment, or the animals, the organisms are seen in that what? Environment. And I gave you some ecological concepts or terms related to what? Ecology, where I made mention of what? Habitat, population, I made mention of community, I made mention of lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, and don't forget what I said under them all. Bio, you are talking about life. Lithosphere, you are talking about land, the solid parts. Hydrosphere, when you hear hydro, your mind should go straight to what? Water. And atmosphere, you are talking about the gaseous parts, that is air is involved, gaseous part of the what? Earth. From there, we move down to some what? Factors that can affect what? Ecology, where I have said something about biotic and the what? Abiotic. Biotic, we are talking about what? Living. I gave you example under producers, or that biotic we have producers, we have consumers, and I as well gave you example under what? Abiotic factor. Abiotic factors are referring to what? Non-living what? Things that can affect what? Ecology. Now, the last one, which is local biotic what? Community in Nigeria. I have them now listed as forest zone and the savanna zone. And I have as well given you the three the classification under what? Savannah zone at southern, northern, and the what? Sahel what? Savannah zone. Sometimes you see them adding under the southern Guinea, southern Guinea Savannah zone, northern Guinea what? Savannah zone, and the what? Sahel Savannah. Thank you very much for watching.